限りない光降るその場所をただ目指して今僕らは旅立つ
Luminous Arc 2 is Image Epic's third game, directed by Hideyuki Mizutani. This is the first game where Mikage had no credited role in its development. This video assumes you've played Luminous Arc 1 and spoils it. As we continue with this series, I'm going to assume you know all the Image Epic games reviewed up to this point. Image Epic showed off Luminous Arc 2 at TGS 2007 and handed out this booklet. It's just PR, but it's an inspirational quote goldmine. Luminous Arc 2 is a second attempt at Luminous Arc 1 in both story and in gameplay. The changes were made in direct response to Luminous Arc 1's flaws. From quality of life changes to making equipment choices meaningful, it's shocking to see how much they improved from a bare-bones strategy game. It'd be easier to list what doesn't change. Mikage wasn't fucking around, and he was nowhere near this game. In general, these changes make Luminous Arc 2 more at home on the DS. Battles are more fast-paced, and now every spell counts. The spell animations and level ups are a lot faster too. New to Luminous Arc 2 are enemy reinforcements. They can swarm you if you're not careful. But if you lose, you can retry immediately. There are no more random battles. Instead, you can take side missions. Side missions have more completion objectives and they can get pretty challenging. You can auto-advance cutscenes and you can skip them like in visual novels. Story spoilers begin now. I won't go too in-depth, that's for another time. Mizutani believes every story is boy meets girl and that explains Eggplant. The game starts with Roland and Rosh trading while Rina watches. Roland crashes into Alti, the canon waifu, and we get a lapis grafted on our arm. Fatima is the non-canon waifu, so it takes effort to get on her route. Oh yeah, and she's also evil. We put the STD in stud, or is it the itch in witch? I'm sorry, did you ignore the Rimnite subtext? Fatima resurrects her daddy, who is also our daddy. That's why Roland can engage in polygamy.
You were so nervous.
Well, yeah.
So, I'm the first to become your roommate.
I promise you eternal loyalty through this contract. Accept this kiss with all my love.
When you're my master, you need to keep me happy. I want crabs.
Our real dad kills our stepdad and Alti awakens her NTR form. Alto convinces Popo to join the Anthem program and becomes a maestro. Daddy is made for Big Wolf. Turns out Alti is an anthro. She has the same tattoo as Barva, so she's made for Big Human Cop. On the Alti route, Fatima becomes a human supremacist despite being a knife ear. On the Fatima route, Alti becomes a yandere. The Mage Queen just wanted kids and created Alti. Using Reg, we kill Irumili with either Fapta or Nanachi. There are a lot of reused story elements from Luminous Arc 1 down to the story beats. The theme of boy meets girl is written with more care than in Luminous Arc 1. Alti is a rejection of Lucia. Alti's entire character is designed to make up for everything that Lucia did wrong. And that's outside Alti's intermissions. She has arguments with Roland, but it's a relationship that's built on mutual support and maybe some yandere tendencies. There are a lot of scenes that show the depth of their relationship, like when Alti comforts Roland after his foster father died. That scene gets a payoff when Roland comforts Alti when the team finds out Alti's a beast fiend. If you like tsunderes, you've got Fatima. Fatima is more like Vanessa because of her quick redemption, among other traits. Even on her route, there is not enough time to develop Fatima. The route split happens so late in the game that Alti always gets more screen time than Fatima. Fatima needed more cutscenes to flesh out her relationship with Roland. She also needed more unique fights to encourage you to go down her route. Even with the route split, only a handful of cutscenes change. There are more things you can poke at, but then again that's for another time. You're here for a waifu simulator, not to think about Amaku Sashiro. No, really, if you misread the Red Rocket, you think this game hates on furries. Like, you're not wrong, but that's for the next episode. Completing the game unlocks New Game Plus, and everything carries over. There are a lot of bonus rewards, like an art gallery and even a voice test to replay every spoken line of dialogue. There's more replay value from intermissions since the route split only gives you 2 different battles at most. There's also a hot spring side quest against an army of Copen starring Vanessa and the pals. Wait, did the localizers forget they localized Hugo and Cecile? I've never seen any game improve this much, but I didn't agree with all the changes. Intermissions rotate through a set of characters and only after story battles. There's still side stories, but now characters react to recent story events, like how Pip panics when getting imprisoned, or how Raj copes with his dad dying. Because intermissions rotate characters, you have to beat the game at least 4 times for 100% completion. That includes beating the Hot Spring side quest 4 times. The bonus items from doing intermissions were removed in favor of an MVP mechanic, but the rewards are so random it's hard to get anything useful out of it. The selling point of Luminous Arc 2 is the engage system. While engaged, Roland gets a stat boost and can use magic, which changes depending on his partner. Engagement is the only way Roland can use his flash drive. It's supposed to give Roland more options, but you're only ever engaging with ulti because of her attack bonus. Engagement spells are weak. It's obvious they don't want another elf. Engagement favors deploying witches over everyone else. If you're not careful, Roland ends up being your only physical attacker. You'd think it's not a problem because most physical attackers got nerfed. Let's look at Leon's replacement, Rosh. Although Rosh can one-shot enemies early game, this does not last into endgame. Rosh is the slowest and least mobile character in the game. Rosh gets an attack buff, but it cuts his defense. There are ways around it using Dia, but it's more effort than it's worth. By endgame, Rosh is completely outclassed by Richter in every possible aspect. Non-witch characters are replacements for one another, and it goes against how Luminous Arc wants you to care about all your party members with intermissions. Luminous Arc 2's balance fell apart by endgame. It's a shame since the game leading up to Fatima's recruitment was really enjoyable. Some battles got tricky but were never punishing. You have to take side missions to stay leveled, but I enjoyed the fight so much that I didn't mind. At most, you have to take one side mission between every story battle. Ulti's magic already makes the game easy, but Fatima is ulti but better. To compensate, endgame enemies have high magic resistance. Because you're using witches more, you neglect your fighters. You get 4 almost all at once to compensate for that. Endgame enemies even have low physical defense to encourage using physical attackers. The devs didn't want to weaken magic, but they also don't want another Leon, despite the enemy stats telling me otherwise. Even with a simple battle system, it's imbalanced. This ends in a final boss fight so brutal it's enough to get a Saga fan wet. The final boss follows a pattern, but yeah. Saga bosses test how well you know the battle system. Here, it's just a matter of how much you're willing to grind. Even New Game Plus teams have trouble against the final boss. They didn't learn how to balance bosses from Luminous Arc 1, and I don't blame you if you chop the game right here. Luminous Arc 2 learned their lesson with duels. Sadie's duel lets you bring 2 party members. Roland's duel against himself happens right after, so you know what to expect. Side quests are still hard to find. There are no rewards, it's just another barrier for 100% completion. Side missions give better rewards, at least you can unlock Luminous Arc 1 characters. The world map is split up into different zones and further divided into locales. With the removal of random battles, the world map feels really empty. I'd rather have a hub where I can shop and take side missions and then go to my next battle. The English voice cast was pretty good, but some voices don't land. Once again, the Japanese spared no expense with their voice actors.
No, Meow! Down here! I said that!
Oh, a talking cat. That makes sense.
I'm not a cat, Meow! I'm Josie! I'm a feline familiar! 違う！喋ったのはオイラにゃ！
猫かよ。
違う！オイラはジョジ！冷えの魔女と共に戦うゴーレム使いにゃ！
Val, Gildo.
I'm amazed you have the strength to stand up.
Alti?
Alti? How can you... Magna, Jana, Meta, Arna.
アルゲルド。
まだ立ち上がる力があるのか。
アルティ？
アルティ、どうして？
マグナドラナメタアルナ。
The American localization has way too many pop culture references. It makes you question its quality. But it's not like Japanese games don't have pop culture references. With the American release date so close to the holidays, the localization probably went to an overworked and... It's the same fucking people. This is something that, even in character, I don't like to point out. Meanwhile, the marketing team pushed out a collector's edition. I wish the localization team cared as much as the marketing team. Luminous Arc 2 shows how much Image Epic can improve from a rocky start. Luminous Arc 1 felt like it was trying to imitate its inspirations. Luminous Arc 2 is trying to become its own game, and that effort is what made me enjoy it. Streamlining battles and improving on the story is what made this game for me. The 7 hours I spent beating Luminous Arc 1 felt like a slog compared to the 24 hours I spent beating Luminous Arc 2, and I still wanted to beat Fatima's route. Luminous Arc 2 learns from Luminous Arc 1 and embraces what it is. You're playing this game for waifus. The battle system is bare bones at worst, but a big improvement from Luminous Arc 1. There's still one more game in the mainline series. If Luminous Arc 2 is anything to go by, get ready for a lot of improvement. In spite of its flaws, Luminous Arc 2 is one of the most recognizable games from Image Epic. Luminous Arc 2 is so important that at the end of Image Epic's lifespan, it would get an homage through Stellar Glow. I recommend playing Luminous Arc 2 in Japanese. Next time, we if in hell. Until then.